The observation deck of the Galactic Conservation Station fell silent as Ambassador Vexthor watched the security footage for the third time. His scales rippled with a mixture of confusion and concern. On the screen, a human female named Dr. Sarah Chen continued her rounds through the apex predator nursery, with what appeared to be a 40-kilogram Vraxian cub clinging to her back. "This is unprecedented," Vexthor muttered to his assistant, a nervous Quillen named Pip. "She should be dead, or at minimum severely injured." Pip's ears flattened against his skull. "Ambassador, the human has been carrying that cub for 6 hours now. Her shift should have ended 2 hours ago, but she refuses to stop working." The Vraxians were apex predators from a death world that made most galactic species recoil in terror. With retractable claws that could shred durasteel and jaws capable of crushing bone, they sat comfortably at the top of their planet's food chain. Adult Vraxians served as elite warriors in the Galactic Defense Force, feared across a dozen star systems. Their young, while smaller, were no less dangerous, instinct-driven bundles of muscle, fang, and claw that even trained xenobiologists approached with extreme caution. Yet here was this human, this impossibly fragile creature from a world the Galactic Council had classified as moderately dangerous at best, treating the cub like it was nothing more than an oversized backpack. Vexthor decided he needed to see this madness in person. The apex predator nursery was maintained at temperatures most species found uncomfortable. Vexthor felt his scales absorbing the heat as he entered, grateful for the climate-controlled suit Pip had insisted he wear. The air smelled of musk and raw meat, underscored by the constant background growls of infant predators who would one day rule their respective food chains. He found Dr. Chen in the feeding area, preparing nutritional supplements for the adolescent Krath serpents. The Vraxian cub still clung to her back, its massive paws wrapped around her torso, its head resting contentedly against her shoulder. "Dr. Chen," Vexthor called out, his translator rendering his hissing speech into standard galactic. "I must insist you remove that creature immediately. The liability alone?" Sarah turned and Vexthor instinctively stepped back. There was something in her eyes, not fear, not aggression, but a calm confidence that seemed entirely inappropriate for someone being used as a living climbing tree by an apex predator. "Oh, hey, Ambassador," she said cheerfully, adjusting her grip on a container of vitamin-enriched protein paste. "You mean Patches?" "Yeah, she climbed up about 6 hours ago. I figured she'd get down when she got tired, but..." Sarah shrugged, causing the cub to chirp softly and tighten its grip. "I think she's having abandonment issues. Her mother rejected her last week, and the other cubs won't let her near them. She's been really stressed." "Abandonment issues?" Vexthor's translator struggled with the concept. "It is a Vraxian. They are solitary hunters incapable of bonding, of feeling lonely." Sarah's expression hardened slightly. "Ambassador, with respect, I've been working with dangerous predators for 8 years. Every creature in this nursery has emotions, needs, fears. Patches here?" She reached back and gently scratched behind the cub's ear, eliciting a rumbling purr that made Vexthor's scales stand on end. "She's just a scared kid who needs to know someone cares about her." The cub's eyes, amber and slit-pupiled, opened and fixed on Vexthor. He saw the intelligence there, the predatory calculation, but also something else. Something that looked almost like contentment? "But the danger," Pip squeaked from behind Vexthor. "One wrong move, one instinctive reaction. Won't happen." Sarah's voice carried absolute certainty. "Patches knows I'm not prey. She knows I'm not a threat. We've established trust." She returned to her work, mixing the protein paste with practiced ease despite having 40 kilograms of apex predator clinging to her spine. Besides, humans have been doing this for thousands of years. "Doing what?" Vexthor asked, fascinated despite himself. "Adopting predators. Befriending them. We had wolves that became dogs, wildcats that became house cats. My great-grandmother raised a tiger cub that wandered into her village in India. Humans don't see predators as enemies by default. We see them as individuals. Patches isn't a Vraxian, she's Patches. And Patches needs someone to carry her for a while until she's strong enough to stand on her own again." Vexthor watched as Sarah completed her rounds. She checked on the Krath serpents, fed the juvenile razorhawks, administered medicine to a sick Thorian bear analog, all with the Vraxian cub clinging peacefully to her back. The other predators in the nursery, species that would normally tear each other apart given the chance, seemed to accept this bizarre arrangement without question. It was as he watched her crouch to examine a wound on a young Thorian's paw that Vexthor finally understood. The cub shifted on her back to maintain balance, its claws carefully retracted, its weight distributed to avoid injuring its carrier. This wasn't a predator and prey. This was a partnership built on something the Galactic Council's xenobiologists had never thought to look for in apex predators. It was built on love. 3 months later, Vexthor submitted his report to the Galactic Council. The Varaxian cub, now designated as Patches in official records, had made a full psychological recovery. She had been successfully reintegrated with her species and was thriving, but that wasn't the interesting part of the report. The interesting part was his recommendation that humanity be reclassified, not as a moderately dangerous species, but as something new entirely. He proposed the designation Adaptive Symbiotic Apex, a category that had never existed before in galactic taxonomy. Because humans, he had learned, had a unique and terrifying ability. They could look at the galaxy's most dangerous predators and see not monsters but friends. They could earn the trust of creatures that trusted nothing. They could carry the weight of the broken and wounded without complaint. And perhaps most frightening of all, they did it not because they were fearless, but because they cared. The Council approved his recommendation unanimously. After all, any species that could turn an apex predator into a cuddle-seeking infant, simply through patience and compassion, was far more dangerous than anything with claws and fangs. Dr. Sarah Chen continued her work at the conservation station, unaware that she had single-handedly changed humanity's standing in the galactic community. But then again, she had never been doing it for recognition. She had done it because a scared child, regardless of species, had needed someone to carry them. And humans, as the galaxy was learning, never said no to that.